Hey everyone, Rico Berg, Realtor with Bridgeville Real Estate Group here in Coquitlam, British Columbia, Canada. And as I promised, I do have Jon Chan from RBC. He's a mortgage broker that we work with, and he's absolutely amazing. So he's here to answer some of the frequently asked questions that we had prepared collectively with regards to mortgages and common questions that we're seeing right now. So Jon, introduce yourself.
Hi, well, my name is Jon Chan. I'm working with RBC and happy to provide advice to all our mutual clients, especially through these very disruptive times. We want to make sure that we give some options, confidence moving forward, and yeah, hopefully today we'll be able to answer some general questions around COVID and how we can help.
Awesome, thanks. So what I wanted to start with is just generically, what is the mortgage industry doing right now to help COVID? I know people are aware of deferrals and things like that, but I just wanted to get into your opinion on what the mortgage industry is doing. We've heard a lot of talk about interest rates, so maybe just speak to those kind of topics.
Well, certainly providing a lot of advice, tailored advice to our clients right now. People probably feel a little lost given all this noise and fears out there, and really needing some sort of something to lean on to get some structure and assistance where needed. So, I mean, aside from the obvious one of the skip payments, that one we'll talk about a little bit later, we're certainly seeing suggestions of taking advantage of the low interest rates we're having right now, whether you're currently in a variable mortgage, maybe thinking about the fixed rate mortgages. We would still suggest talking to myself or one of our colleagues one-on-one to see what's important to you. I mean, something that works for one person may not be the case for another. It's all about the tailored advice, and certainly want to make sure we get in front of our clients now rather than wait till perhaps things get difficult perhaps in the coming months, and wish they spoke with someone early on. It doesn't hurt to reach out and see if there's a need to make any changes or modifications to your current plan so we can set you up for success going forward.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And I know that a lot of people have been talking about how it takes a super long time to get a hold of their lender and things like that. So maybe talking to a mortgage broker specifically might be able to provide some guidance from the start. So that's good to know. So yeah, I mean, deferral and skip a payment, obviously everybody knows those are really popular options right now. We have, over 500,000 requests from what I've heard. So can you talk a little bit like specifically about the deferral options, how long people are able to defer for, and what RBC or how RBC is handling those things?
Yeah, absolutely. This one's been in the news quite a bit. The option of skipping up to 6 months of your principal and interest payments. It's certainly a very, very helpful option, especially when your income might be kind of in question in the next while. So it's something that will help you right now, but just to understand there are pros and cons to all this. The pro, of course, is to help your immediate cash flows. I mean, RBC and other large lenders are allowing you to skip up to 6 months worth of payments. So if you're paying monthly or say even bi-weekly, you can skip 6 payments on monthly, 12-ish on bi-weekly. To keep it simple, you'll be basically covered until September, October if you're needing that option. The con, of course, is that the interest that you're frankly skipping is accumulated over the period that you're skipping your mortgage for. So it does impact how much your outstanding mortgage will be in the end, but that's where we go back to that advice piece to see, is it the right thing for our clients? I've had lots of conversations with people where we found that in the end, it wasn't the right thing for them at this moment. They'll say, hey, let's keep it in our back pocket. Mm-hmm. But to balance out the short-term benefits and the long-term impact, I know it's very cliche where people say, oh, well, you have to look down the road or you got to look ahead. But one little add, the bit that I've always added to that quote is you have to look down at your feet before you go down the road, because if you trip down the road. So looking at these options now may be very beneficial, but to understand there are pros and cons. Yeah, and it's something that people should certainly reach out, not just the skip payments, but just advice questions, because a lot of people don't understand these details unless you're in the industry. So we certainly want our clients to be in the know of all this.
Awesome. And like from what I know that some people are just like, not a lot of people, but some people just think, oh, I can just not pay my mortgage, right? And so making that difference, it's like, no, you still need to pay it at some
Mhm.
point and you're going to get interest on it, but it's just that you don't have to pay it right now. And then also, I think the easiest way to do the skip a payment or defer is by applying online, right? Like people can't just not pay it and not make a application, right?
Yeah, no, actually, that's a very good point. You can't just say, hey, I'll just decide to not pay and then call my bank up a week or two later, say, hey, by the way, the one I missed the other week, can you skip that? No, it doesn't work that way. It certainly has to be kind of pre-planned, set up ahead of time. I know that the terms skip and defer kind of get lumped together, and to a degree, it's basically to say, yeah, you still have to pay that portion eventually. It's just pushed back to help you out right now.
Hmm.
And that's just a very important thing to understand, where you can't, these payments are not just going to disappear. We do have to take some responsibility, of course, but to certainly know that the banks are here to help get us through this rough patch. And when things get back to normal, we can certainly review again where we're at to help perhaps catch up on these payments that we deferred over this past summer, and make sure that we're all meeting your future goals, like having this mortgage paid off in a certain number of years. And yeah, again, just understand this is something that you need to chat with your professional, rather than just assume it's good and I'll worry about it later.
Yeah, no, and I think you also brought up just another good point kind of on that is like, this is a really good opportunity for us to be budgeting and be super aware of what our payments are. And, maybe we can save up a little bit for rainy day funds or, yeah, things like that. So that's good.
Mhm.
And then kind of just going into that a little bit more, like I know, for example, real estate, and we do have realtors that watch my YouTube channel as well. Some of the concerns that come up are that, are any impact in our business right now, there's usually a lag in terms of like what our actual commissions are. And that's usually about 2 to 3 months. So even though I might be getting paid for April and May, if my business is impacted at this particular point in time, it means my commissions aren't going to be impacted until later. So I think that like deferrals are still a pretty good option for those people. But is there, and another further to that as well, is like investors, right? People that have investment properties. Like, is this deferral option an option for people that maybe their income isn't directly impacted right now, like commission sales? Is it applicable to investors that have investment properties? Is it just primary residents? Just kind of like wanting to clear that up a little bit.
Mhm. Yeah, it's at this time it's open to everyone that has a mortgage, uh, that's current and up to date, of course. That's going back to making sure that you're still making the payments for now, and not saying, hey, I need to skip something that I missed earlier. And going back to those that are either self-employed or investors, that at the moment their cash flow is not an issue. You have a tenant that's paying the rent, or self-employed work that's still paying you stuff that you've done a month or so earlier, but there's that question mark that's around the corner. We're certainly encouraging our clients to take a look at their needs and maybe take advantage of that skip payment, defer payment now, even though they don't need it this moment, because when things get a little dried up down on the corner, or there's a concern with your tenant that maybe they lost their job and they can't pay the bills, you're basically planning ahead, doing the smart thing, and having the deferments already going, but perhaps saving up the money that you already have to pay those bills, but keeping that as like a rainy day fund, like you absolutely said there. It's very important to have that in the wings, and if everything's positive and there was no disruption, you can always pay back these deferred payments later on, so that the added interest is never an issue. But at least taking advantage of some of these programs that are available to pretty much every Canadian that's borrowing money, to just help us all get out of this rough patch. So I'd say right now, it is eligible to self-employed and investors. Definitely take a look, talk to your advisor, and have those payments deferred for now. So just to give yourself an extra little bit of help. Let's just be honest, don't be a little stubborn. Take that extra help that you have that's available out there, just in case.
Yeah, and like I know that there's obviously a lot of changes that have been going on with the residential tenancy order that was announced on March 25th. And for those of you that didn't see my video about that, I posted it yesterday. So I will leave a link to that video down in the description below. But, I think that, the government is trying to do what they can to also help tenants, but they're still making it very clear that, rent is still due. And even though you can't get evicted now, it's like, if you just don't pay rent, like, you will get evicted, but just once the state of emergency is lifted. But I think that a lot of investors are really concerned about that. And, having the temporary rent supplement, for example, only being $500, it's not going to cover most people's mortgages. And I know that a lot of tenants just aren't paying rent right now. And there's a lot of, I think, misconceptions about how that residential tenancy order and rent is working at this particular point in time. But that's good to know that it's still applicable. And I know that offline we were saying that you have experience where it's not just like your primary residence in a rental property. You've seen clients defer multiple properties. And so, yeah, you can, I think you said 3, right?
Yeah, I had an example where my client had 3 rentals and a primary resident. So all 4 properties had mortgages, and we gave them the advice to skip those payments. They had solid income. The tenants were all paying at the moment, but they had the foresight to say, you know what, John, let's go ahead with the skips for now. I'll bank the money that's coming in just in case. But you never know what happens if the income is impacted for one of my tenants. I still have to pay the bills. I'm the mortgage holder. And as the primary residence, obviously you want to make sure that the roof over your head is taken care of as well. So this client was smart enough to have that conversation with me just the other week. We discussed all the pros and cons. And like you said, it's not, let's just be honest, it's not for everybody, but it can help a lot of people. Just have that conversation to see, is it worthwhile to go do this and give yourself that little added protection through all this disruption.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. I think we've covered kind of the basics, but is there any other options RBC is offering to help people stay afloat? Anything else that you can recommend? I know we talked a little bit about reverse mortgages, people talking about credit cards, lines of credit. So maybe speak to that as the last question.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty broad. There's a lot of options Royal Bank is offering, and one of the best resources, of course, is just on our public website. If you go to the main page, it's pretty much right on the front for how RBC is helping our clients through COVID-19. A combination of assistance through relief on credit card, interest payments, car loans, regular installment loans. Very, very important to know that's not just the mortgages. I know in the news, the mortgage payments are getting all the love, but to know that there are people with other consumer debt that is of concern. For business owners, you may have heard in the news, the government is helping out small, medium-sized business owners with extended credit to assist for their own business, their employees, all that, along with, of course, all the special programs they're having. So through the bank, we can do that. And yeah, last but not least, just making sure to get that tailored financial review, where you're at. A lot of this, of course, can be done over the phone, web conferencing with our advisors. Just make sure, hey, I want to make sure that I'm solid now and solid coming out of COVID. And you can only really do that with confidence by talking to your advisor, whether it be just the banking side of things or the mortgage side of things, just to have everybody on the same page going forward. And again, it all starts with just making a phone call, say, hey, John, was wondering, what do you think about this and that? If you don't connect with your advisor, you never know. You don't know what you don't know, as
Yeah.
cliche as that sounds.
No, that's a good one.
So you certainly want to connect it. I mean, the worst thing is that you spend 15, 20 minutes and you find out, you know what, there's no need to make any changes. But you didn't know that was the case until you made that call to your advisor. And I'm trying my best to reach out to clients that I've recently worked with as well. Yeah, just a phone call away, just an email away. Lots of different ways we're doing business now to stay connected, stay aware of what's happening and how it can affect you and your family. Because we want to make sure that everybody's good going forward. I do have one more thing I want to leave off with, is that recently in the news, it was announced that Royal Bank has also retrained over 200 staff members with our credit department to specifically help with relief programs and tailored options for those that were probably already in very tight financial situations prior to COVID. Mm-hmm. So it's great to see the added support that we're, being the largest bank in Canada, we have the resources to be relocated to help even the hardest hit individuals, frankly, help the Canadians get through this. So I'm very proud to be working for an organization that has the power to retrain 200 plus employees to help out this, a lot of people that really need the help. So again, I'm just happy to say that RBC has a number of solutions, whether you're financially stable right now or having some concerns, lots of different ways we can help out. So it all starts with just reaching out and telling us how, your situation, and go from there.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And for all of you guys that are watching, like John said, I mean, there's definitely the skip a payment option, but everybody is different. Everybody's situation is different, financially, personally, in your work life right now. And so getting that tailored advice is really, really important before you go ahead and do anything. So while that option is available for you there, definitely feel free to reach out to John if you do have any questions. And we are going to be doing kind of like a little mini series. So John and I want to share that with you. We're super excited about that. So this one was more just about mortgage deferrals and kind of what options you have available for those of you with mortgages, and then just giving a little bit more of an update on some of that gray area that people have been asking about. But we are going to do another video probably on people with existing deals right now, people that have pre-approvals that are maybe thinking about buying. And then we also just wanted to touch on pre-sales too. So stay tuned for that. But if you guys do have any questions that you are interested in us addressing moving forward, definitely just leave it in the comments below. And until then, I am Mariko Berg, Realtor with Bridgeville Real Estate Group. As I said, if you have real estate questions, you can definitely reach out to me anytime. And John is obviously here for any mortgage questions that you have. So we just wanted to provide you with like a team of people that can really help you with whatever questions or whatever hardships you're going through right now. So hopefully this was a good start, and we'll continue to provide that information moving forward. So thanks very much for watching, guys, and thanks for being here, John. And
thanks for having me.
Good one. Thanks so much. Bye.
Take care.